Alrighty, we appear to be live. Hello, everybody. And I'm assuming nobody's watching ads because I'm not monetized. So we just went straight into live and our faces. So if there's anybody here, feel free to say hi in the chat. Otherwise, we'll just talk among ourselves. That's fine too. But I'm having an absolute joy of a discussion today because I've caught some people before they've gone into Fits in the Fall. So with me today is the very lovely Chas, who was the very first person I ever spoke to live on BookTube. Wow. And Danielle, who is new to me. So welcome to my channel, Danielle. Welcome to my lovely people who have shown up in the chat. And if you'd like to introduce yourselves and let these lovely people know who you are and where to find you. Chas, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, so I'm Chas. My channel is Bookish Chas. And I talk all things fantasy and sci-fi and a little bit of everything else, and except romance. I'm just having a blast. I'm so excited to talk more about Robin Hogg because she just deserves to be talked more about.
Right. I'm Danielle. My channel is Bookcara. I have been buddy reading The Realm of the Elderlings with Chas. And yeah, other things I'm involved in. I do co-host a read-along group that's called Bookstara with Amy at A Star Reads and Paige at Pages with Paige. And yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Awesome. Well, as I say, welcome to the channel. The only other piece of news that we need to share, if people have somehow missed it, I've tried to put it as many places as possible. This is going to be full spoiler. There are too many books that have happened in the series to this point for us to try and avoid spoilers. So we're not going to try. It's all fair game. So don't feel you have to limit yourselves in any way. Say what you think, because we're allowed.
Okay.
Now, Chas, I know that you've been reading the series for a little bit, but I don't know your history with the series, Danielle. Did you start when Chas did, or have you picked it up since and then joined in?
I think we've been reading it together since the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm terribly sorry that I didn't invite you earlier.
No, it's okay. All right. No worries.
Okay. So this is your first time through, and you've done it at a really good pace. Like, I like the way that you guys have spaced it out. You get to soak it all in before you take the next step.
Mm-hmm.
So my question now is going to be, how much longer do you reckon you'll wait before heading into that final trilogy?
Oh, I think we're starting right away at the beginning of the year, right?
Yep.
Is it? Yeah.
That's what I had in my head.
Yeah, we're going to take a break for the holidays and then probably just plunge right back in.
It's so exciting. Sorry, it really is. It's just the best thing. Not very many people are going to... It's me that's echoing, isn't it? I'm so sorry. Not very many people are going to reread. So there aren't very many people who really get into it as much as I am. So to have these conversations, I kind of need to catch people when they're fresh.
Mm-hmm.
It's all still fresh in their minds. So you've come off the Rain Wilds, and I'm sure you know, not least because I shout about it quite a lot, the Rain Wilds doesn't have the best reputation in terms of being of the same quality as the rest of the series. Obviously, I'm a defender.
Oh, yeah.
That isn't to say that it isn't the weakest of the books within the series. And that's not because Rain Wilds isn't good. It's because everything else is amazing.
Right.
When you started Rain Wilds, and I know that I specifically said to Chas, expect a change in pace, expect there to be a very different sort of, not pace so much, it's just a very different tone. So I know you were expecting that going in. Did you think that it needed that kind of heads up, or was that helpful? I mean, how did you feel going into it after that high that is Fool's Fate?
Mm. I know for me, I was slightly nervous because of some of the negative hype, but at the same time, I was optimistic. You know, I try not to let stuff like that get me down. So yeah, I was kind of, I was on the fence, but slightly more on the side of I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, that was me. How about you, Danielle?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard what other people had said, specifically through you, because I don't know if I would have heard it otherwise. And I was just like, come on, it's Hob. How bad can it be?
Right?
You know? And yeah, it was wound up being fantastic. So I
Yeah.
am a firm believer that you have to go in and experience for yourself. I mean, there's got to be some kind of balance between, you know, taking the opinion of others and just deciding for yourself, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. There were several times throughout our buddy read of the Rain Wilds that Danielle and I said to each other, "What are people smoking? This is brilliant."
Thank you. I need more people like that out there. Yes. Did you have a specific moment when you were like, I don't understand where the hate comes from? Or was it just an overall sense that this is better than you thought it would be? Or how do you go with that?
Oh,
I mean, I feel like we had it figured out before the end of the first book. We were
oh
like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
was unfounded.
Even before the end of the first book, I think we were just hooked. Like, yeah.
Like, obviously, we're having a different experience with this than.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're very character driven readers, and it's just got some amazing characters. I mean, Thymara and Selden, and so many good characters. And I mean, the dragons were great too. You know,
I love that that's an afterthought
yeah,
from the book Dragon. And the dragons were all right too.
yeah. And I mean, they were characters. Like, you know, there were some dragons that you loved to love, and there were dragons that you loved to hate. But yeah,
It is a comment I've heard bandied around, and Mike said it loudest over at Mike's book reviews. He doesn't like Hobbes dragons. He thinks that dragons should be nobler. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. How did you feel about the dragons? Were they what dragons should be, or were they not?
So okay. Why am I blanking on her name? The original dragon. What's that?
Tintaglia?
Not Tintara. I'm thinking about
Tintaglia, the glorious Queen of Blue.
Sorry. So Tintaglia, when we finally met her, she strikes me as very regal because she remembers what it was like to be a dragon and to you know, she was kind of the last of that wave, if you will. So I think dragons have been gone from the world for so long that, of course, these dragons are going to be different because they don't know. They have all these assumptions. Centaura especially has a lot of assumptions, but they're just learning how to be in this world that has not had dragons in it for hundreds of years, probably. So I don't know as I would have expectations as to what they're supposed to be like. I don't know. What about you, Danielle?
I thought they were sufficiently full of themselves, sufficiently prima donnas, sufficiently just.
I love that, prima donnas.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were great. I have no complaints.
Yeah. Fair enough. I have to admit, I sit that side of the fence also. These beings are pretty much all powerful. They're going to have some arrogance to go with that. I did very much like, from very early on, we start because we begin the story pretty much with Taimara. We get a brief flashback from her perspective into the hatching of those, or the awakening of the dragons from their cocoons that we left them in at the end of Live Ships. And we see that, and we see the disappointment from almost everybody as these beings aren't properly formed. They've not had what they needed. They're stunted to one degree or another. And so immediately we're struck with ostracism and otherness and one form of disability or another, making a part of a society separate. And that speaks loudly across the whole sub-series. When we talk about the dragons, because they're dragons, they don't take well to not being able to be at their full potential and being treated as burdens.
Right.
How did you find and we're looking at the human characters as well with Taimara and Tats, because although Tats isn't a Rain Wilder, he's been encompassed into their society, still feeling othered. How did you feel that Hob dealt with that in terms of a society as a whole?
Go ahead, Danielle. I was going
to say, I'm not sure how to answer it either.
Maybe try to be more specific. In terms of, are we surprised that the kids who went out on their own so very quickly wanted to change all of their rules and wanted to make so many changes to their society?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, definitely not surprised at all. I mean, a lot of these kids, Taimara especially, escaped by a hair's breadth being tossed out in the wild as a baby to be eaten or die or whatever because they were different. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that they want to have their own society and rules around what it means to be what they are, to be elderlings, because they're discovering that they're elderlings or what elderlings used to be, maybe a shadow of what elderlings used to be. And so, yeah, it makes sense. And they're around misfit dragons. I kept thinking, I don't know about you, Danielle, but I kept thinking, as we read about the dragons, I keep thinking back to the stop motion Rudolph the Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys. Like I kept thinking about that, and I'm like, these are misfit toys. They're all kind of misfits together, and I thought it was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and I think they'll fit in well because elderlings are supposed to be different. So,
I'm sorry, guys. Somebody is randomly knocking on my front door. I'll be right back. Okay.
Sure.
Sure, no problem.
It's something that I just found, and I saw it far more clearly when I spoke to Emily from Emily Reads. She works with a lot of handicapped, disabled children. And she was saying the othering is so very extreme in the series. And I really started to notice it after that conversation. And in the way that while they were still in Treehog, there was this sense of you are a burden purely by your existence. You're a burden to us. And the futility of them trying to fight that. They just had to accept that they were just never going to amount to anything. And yet, because at this point nobody knows the reason for these birth deformities, being this uncontained changing that happens around this elderling settlement, there was a relative tone of wisdom to, we don't let these changed children marry. We don't let them have children. We don't, because we're going to just, no, That's not wise. And yet that echoes a lot of the things that happened very early in mine and Jazz's lives, where people with intellectual disabilities were being sterilised without their consent. So there's a lot being said around, it's one thing to understand something is not clever, and it's another to take away the choice. So this spectre of choice sort of looms large over the series as well. When did you first encounter that as a theme that you thought, oh, she's talking quite loudly here around autonomy?
I don't know. It came up pretty right away. Like as soon as they left with their dragons, and I think it started to come up shortly after that. We realized that I mean, they were all being gotten rid of together. We're tired of taking care of these dragons, so let's get rid of them, and we'll get rid of our misfit kids too. And so if society already doesn't like us, why don't we just form our own society type of thing? And I feel like it came up pretty early in book 1.
Yeah.
What about you, Danielle?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like all of that came up really soon, as far as, them not being given a choice in, to reproduce or to marry, to have sex, all of the things.
Yeah.
That was prevalent, I think, early on.
Yeah. And it allowed them to really question everything that they've been taught to believe in, which I thought was good. I noticed Chadia's comment there, the fact that they send the children out with the dragons to get rid of them, and how society can be so cruel. Mm-hmm. That is so true. And, if they live in that kind of a cruel society, they get to the point where we don't owe them anything. Let's be us. And it's such a different society too, even in the Rain Wilds, the fact that some of these kids survived, even though they were other, because we realized early on, and again, I can't remember her name, but Malta's mother, there's a hint in the live ship Traders that Malta's mother probably had a quote unquote deformed child, and she had to get rid of it before Kyle came home from a trading mission.
Stated explicitly either whether that child was allowed to not survive, or
That's
if that
true,
didn't survive to birth.
Yeah. For all we know, one of these kids could be hers. Who knows? But yeah.
But that's part of the culture. We don't talk about it because it's all a big secret.
Yeah.
I love that the two of you were speaking as you were reading. I think that's always fantastic. What was the first sort of big, we have to talk about this thing that sort of happened for you? Do you remember?
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I mean, I know what we just spoke about was definitely kind of a revelation, to know that, these deformities that we've been hearing about all along, really had a real purpose, and were only deformities because there weren't dragons there to guide them. I know that was definitely something we had to stop and talk about.
That's true. It was. That might have been the first one, even.
Because up until that point, it had been just this sort of, I tend to sort of put it in that sort of nuclear fallout kind of thing, sort of the lives like after Chernobyl, sort of like, okay, there's something wrong with this area that's doing something that's not right, but not having a sense of what that was. And when that gets revealed, suddenly you're like, hang on a minute. And then we spend more time with the dragons, and we realize how easily they're using their gift of glamour. Control.
I think.
Yeah. And Merkur, I've got a big soft spot for Merkur.
Oh, yes.
I love Merkur, yeah. Yeah.
He's a bit of a darling, to be fair.
Oh, that was another thing that I know I was like, oh my gosh, because I started to make the connection of like, these dragons are the serpents, that we've been spending time with. That was definitely.
Yeah, and discovering which ones they were, especially Merkur.
He's the most recognizable one, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
This sort of wise leader among
It's one of the things I love about Hob is that she doesn't waste anything.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's the wonderful things that I'm always able to say to people is nothing is hidden from you. There are no twists. There are no surprises. There's only a sudden collection of facts that now you've got enough of them. Something makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's one of them where you're like, oh, okay. Oh, I get it now. Nothing was hidden from us. We were told as early as the first section of life ships that they have memories from previous lives. We have memories going through of flying. So we know that they reincarnate to some degree with a sense of themselves. So for us to suddenly realize, oh, hang on, that specific dragon was that specific serpent, somehow still feels like a revelation, even though it was never hidden. It's such a clever way to do things. But the arrogance and the pride in them and the way they manipulated the Treehog Council into making them leave. Merkur knew they had to leave.
Yeah.
He even knew where they needed to go.
That's right. Yeah, he was the first one to talk about Singra. Yeah.
He was the first one to do what? I'm sorry.
Talk about Kelsingra, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Basically just said, look, just mention it around the humans so they hear the word.
Right.
And then they'll start asking.
Yeah.
Such wonderful manipulation, which says a lot again about dragons in general. They're not direct. And we met quite a diverse group of young people because even in their otherness, there's no uniformity among them.
Yeah.
And we see that quite early. The dynamics of that group are really quite fascinating to read about. Where did you stand on the extremes of that group? I mean, was it believable? Was it, okay, we're just taking the mickey now. Where did you sit with that?
I bought it. What was the name of the young man that was like kind of the leader? He wanted to be the leader of the
Yeah.
Grift.
Yeah.
Greft, and then there was Jerd, there was Sylve, there was Rapskull.
Yeah.
Oh man, he is such a character.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. I think that is realistic for them to be that different,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if you think about it in modern terms, these are the kids who would be in detention together after school.
Oh, yeah. Very much.
And getting along just fine most of the time, but other times they're clashing and
And we see very early with Grift, as you mentioned, the ease with which they're manipulated because they have been othered. This need to be part of something, this need to be welcomed into this group, and their willingness to accept some questionable things to get that welcome. We see Grift taking Jess's advice perhaps a little too to heart in his attempts to control the directions of the group. And I think it's one of the the underlying kind of themes in all of the series of what will you do to be loved? How much will you put up with to be accepted? And we see quite an extreme sort of end of that in Rain Wilds. And yet we do see in Taimara this refusal of no, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that bothers me the most in the naysayers around the series. They tend to write off a lot of their story, these young people, as teenage angst love triangle.
Right.
And I just think there's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the richness? And I'm looking at Danielle nodding. Where was the richness in that for you, Danielle?
The richness?
There's just so much happening in that little...
in that little nugget. Yeah, no, I think it applies to more than just young people. I think we're all every single day doing things and maybe modifying ourselves and changing our behavior, in the hopes of being more lovable and being more accepted. And yeah, I think it was very true to life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially being cast out, and they're just at that crucial age, and yet they're being forced to grow up and to care for other beings that they're being forced to give a level of care to other beings when they can't even take care of themselves, and they're having to learn how to do that, and how to find love and to be accepted. And and Taimara's answer to that was, well, I'm just going to look after myself. And
yeah, Taimara's big thing was, I don't have to decide, or if I do have to decide, I pick me. And I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that too, Danielle. I'm going to pick me. I'm going to think of myself first, and then if something else comes along, especially during that whole period of where Rapskull and Grift and Tats were trying to make her choose. Which one of us are you going to pick? Because we need to know so that we can build our new society. Grift had ulterior motives in that, but I think for the most part, Tats and Rapskull were really concerned about that because they both like Taimara, but they're like, okay, which one of us are you going to choose? And she's just like, who says I have to choose only one of you or either of you? That's the beauty about this new society they're forming. They're like, they could decide to not be monogamous. They could decide to have multiple people that they love and have children with, or not have love at all. They have that choice to just be by themselves if they want to. And Taimara, in that respect, I think, was wiser than all of them in that respect. Yeah, I really like Taimara. I don't think you could tell.
No, that's very much where I sit with it. The love triangle teenage angst winds me up so much because it's not a love triangle. You have so much pressure from those boys on Taimara to choose so we can decide which among the boys is the most powerful.
Right.
And Taimara's whole thing is, I don't actually have to choose. And screw all of you for trying to make me. And that's not a love triangle. That's not one girl going, oh, I love both of these boys and I can't decide who to choose. No, there was no angst in terms of teenage romance from the center of this supposed love triangle. Mm-hmm. And I do think that people going into this believing that there is a love triangle are going to see it differently.
Right.
Because it's just not. It's just not. It bothers me a lot. Because Taimara is being very strong. She's staying very true to herself. in having a choice.
Mhm.
You boys want this to be a hierarchy, as we have lived our entire lives. And I've been told I don't have to live that way anymore, so I'm not going to.
Yeah. How is this doing anything different? Yeah.
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 And the flip side is Jude does the opposite.
Right.
We get as much ownership of her behaviour in Jude going, then I'm going to go with whoever I like.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to be ashamed of it.
Right.
That's as powerful as what Tamara is doing.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely to be commended. And it's sad that she was taken advantage of in that respect.
Yes.
But I think that mindset is commendable to just, do whatever she feels like. But yeah, she got taken advantage of for sure, I think.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was taken advantage of. There were certainly no promises of fidelity
Well, yeah.
She was free to be with whoever she wanted to be with, and she chose to be with several different people.
Mhm.
For me, that storyline got interesting with Jude when she fell pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
We come back into choices, and Tamara is very angry because she's like, well, we're already struggling and now you're not able to help.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless how this turns out, you're not able to help. This is not good for us as a group. At the same time as knowing it's not her choice, it's Jude's choice. She's made the choice and it's not a wise choice. She can't say anything about it.
Right.
I really loved that discussion in the story. Did you find yourself sort of agreeing with the characters or thinking they could have done things differently? I mean, how did you feel about that storyline? It can be quite contentious, and I hate to generalise, and I'm very sorry, but I don't live in the States where this is such a political hot potato as well.
Mhm.
Was that difficult to read, or where did you stand with it?
I mean, so Jerd's actual pregnancy, I could see and her kind of, she wasn't pitching in and pulling her weight during that time. And I could see where that would be kind of frustrating, especially since it was her choice to maybe take, put herself in a position where she could be pregnant. But yeah, I don't know. I need another minute to pull some more thoughts together. Yes?
Yeah, it kind of gallops along. For all that it seems relatively slow, there's a lot happening as it goes.
Oh yeah, there is
always to ponder. I did like that Bellin made the other girls be present for the culmination of that storyline and made very clear that they understood this is the risk you're taking if you do this. And I thought that was very powerful. It's one of the instances where, yes, those rules that you lived by that you didn't like, this is the reason for some of them.
Yeah,
I thought that was very powerful.
it was.
Yeah, and this is this is a society that doesn't really have any methods of, let's say, birth control or anything like that. So, yeah, if if you have fun and then you get pregnant, just be aware. You have to think about what that's going to do, and then you may have to deal with a failed pregnancy like Drew did. She ended up.
Yeah, and it was traumatic for all concerned.
Yeah.
And it just spoke to me very loudly in that moment, where sometimes you might not agree with a rule, but unless you understand the reason for it, fighting it isn't wise.
Right.
And this is what Bellin is showing the girls at this point. She's going, you fought really hard against that rule, Jude. Bitten you in the bum, because now we all have to deal with this. I don't imagine it's a lesson those girls will forget in a hurry.
Right.
I mean, we touched on the teenagers. we had a whole other story going on. Well, we had a couple, to be fair. We had the adult story happening with the teenagers, where we've got Leftrin with the boat, and Tarman is just a darling, despite the fact he never speaks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Elise, wonderful. And then we had this wonderful little epistolary story being played out in the epigraphs between the pigeon keepers. This, it seems really strange because we only get a paragraph every chapter. That's how slowly the story unfolds. But it's one of my favourite threads of Realm of the Elderlings. It's this story where we never meet these people, but we get their story with Eric and Tosi. When did you realise that was going somewhere? Do you remember it all?
I remember when we were like, wait, Tosi's a girl?
Yeah. Well, and I think even before we found out that Tosi's a girl, Danielle, you were the first one to point out to me that you thought this was leading in a romantic direction for them. Before I was like, oh, I didn't really even catch that. But yeah. Looks like Thornall has a question.
Can the Rain Wilds be read without the other Realm of the Elderlings books?
Oh, okay. I don't think so.
This makes all of my skin feel red raw. You could. A lot of context will be lost. And the only reason I say that you could is because I know people who have. Really? They have then gone back and read all the Elderlings because it's just missing so much context.
Yeah.
But they have read it as a series and they have enjoyed it. In fact, those are the people who, even after finishing all of Realm of the Elderlings, have Rain Wilds at the top of their list.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
the only people who have. The people who go there first.
Really?
Interesting.
And it's really telling to me because it means that our expectations of those previous books is what changes our perception of how good Rain Wild is. People who went into the rest of the series already loving Rain Wilds don't change that opinion when they read the rest of it.
Wow.
So,
when I first saw the question, I was thinking to myself, at bare minimum, you would have to read. In my opinion, I was going to say I would read Live Ship Traders before reading Rain Wilds, but you could read them together without reading the rest. But even still, you lose a lot, even with just those two. So yeah, I'm glad to see that they are going to read them. So yeah,
that's the case with all of the sub-series. I don't ever recommend it, ever. I think anyone who reads them out of order is doing so by mistake. They don't know any better. But it can be done.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on my license to be the book police. Until it arrives, I can't enforce anything. So
yeah, I'm still waiting on my license too. So in the meantime, I'll just let people read how they want to read.
Exactly. But that because it plays out that little love story in those letters at the same time as such. You were saying earlier, Danielle, Hobb doesn't waste words. Tiny paragraphs, sometimes only a sentence or two long, tells us so much about what's happening back in Kasarik, in Trehorg, in Bingtown, and the chaos that's happening there while our people are all off in the wilderness. All in these tiny little paragraphs that also include a love story.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say that's masterful. Like that just takes something special.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, there's even a whole little subplot around the sabotage of the pigeons because somebody's making money. You're just like, crazy. Absolutely crazy. But I sort of skipped over them, but I'll come back to them now because I'm thinking about the live ships. We met Tarman, the very first of all of the live ships, who doesn't have a face, who has no ability to communicate except via the dreams that he shares with Leftrin. And Alice, or Elise, who has come from a very sheltered kind of life. And her I don't know, her awakening on this journey, because she and Leftrin very much have a moment of love at first sight.
Oh, yeah.
And
I love
it's very charming to read because she's married, so nothing happens for the longest time. When we realised Cedric's part in the relationship, where did you fall on Cedric as a character? Because he undergoes a heck of a journey.
Does. Go ahead, Danielle.
I mean, I don't have any hard feelings towards Cedric. I think it's easy to get sucked in by somebody like Hest, and yeah, and you know, I can't remember. Did he think that Elise knew the whole time, or no?
He knew that they were fooling her, and he felt terrible about it.
Yeah.
For me, there was a sense in me of happiness when he and Elise came to terms with each other around here.
Yeah.
Because there's a sense of they were both abused spouses. They were, Cedric was groomed to take that.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that both of them were abused in that situation, because that was how I was going to say it exactly. That Hest is just an abusive guy all the way around.
Yeah.
And man, the comeuppance he got. We can go into that later, but I just I was never so happy to. Yeah. Anyway,
one of the best single word answers to a question, but it's again one of those things that Hob does very well, is she's able to say an awful lot without really being obvious. We understand the abuse in the way Cedric thinks, and that he's trying so desperately to win the slightest sliver of approval. We know it's being handed out like a trainer to a dog. We know that he has been trained to behave this way. And to have been driven to such extremes as the one that spurred him into this journey to traffic in dragon parts. It's an awful thing to read, obviously, because it's awful to think that you would harvest material from a living being.
Right.
But then we understand that he's doing it for love. He wants to break free of this society that he thinks is the reason he isn't, a whole part of this partnership, not realizing that, no, he quite likes it that way. The tragedy of that when it unfolds for him, because he has been a secret. Who does he share with?
Yeah.
Whose shoulder can he cry on? Elise, at least, as an abused wife, people accept that as a thing that happens.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Has no one until he opens up to Elise.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful piece of the story.
Yeah.
Especially when he does show up at the end and he's like, I'm kind of, well, did you know? And Elise turns around and goes, yes.
Yep.
And?
Yep, what are you going to do about that?
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, and they were each naive in their own ways. Yes. Elise was very naive about just everything right from the beginning until she finally found out about Cedric when he went into her stateroom in the ship and said, okay, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
But he was naive in so many ways as well, because like you said, he just wanted to be loved and accepted, and he had kind of that puppy dog love for Hest, and chose to, if he saw things, chose to overlook them because he felt like Hest would take care of him and be that, that stable relationship. And all the while, Hest is perfectly happy to groom other people as well, which he was doing behind the scenes. So
that's right, and it's horrible to read.
Yeah, and he was the brunt of their jokes behind his back when when Hest was with these other guys, and it was just I felt so bad for Cedric.
Yeah.
He should have told Elise earlier.
Yes.
I think, but I still felt bad for him.
But we can't dismiss the societal norms around it that Hest was very much taking advantage of. Like a lot of abusers, you can't say anything because nobody will believe you.
Yeah.
And so in keeping Cedric silent, he kept so much control.
Yes.
And forcing that secrecy on Cedric really helped him train Cedric because he could do it in private. Nobody could get in Cedric's ear and go, that's kind of not okay.
Yeah.
And while nobody said that to Elise either, men abusing their wives has happened in pretty much every culture ever, and no difference in Bingtown. So it's frowned upon, but nobody can do anything. It's just okay. Sometimes a husband is not nice to his wife.
Yeah.
But we know it happens. There's a shoulder to cry on. Even that was denied Cedric, and that's really sad. I think he would have found a lot of support if he had felt able to ask for that help.
From the right people, for sure.
So, which is why I love Carson. Carson, lovely man.
Yeah, Carson's amazing. I love him so much, and I love their relationship so much. He was everything that Cedric didn't quite know he needed that Hest would never provide.
Same with Leftrin.
And same with Leftrin.
Leftrin to Elise, you know?
Oh, yeah, Leftrin to Elise, exactly.
And Elise have no idea how to accept that kind of care. They literally don't know how to relate to kindness or how to relate to tenderness. And they're both sort of struggling to find where they fit in that. And what do you mean I don't have to change how I act? But I've always had to change something. What do I have to change? So there's a very beautiful thing there around acceptance, again, with the othering and this changing of society. This acceptance is ultimately what's going to make for the best, societal connections.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even spoken about any of the genuine events in the story. I mean, we've
and I love that Andrew is here to poke the bear.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
I mean, he's wrong, but as I said earlier, I don't have my license to be a book police person, so I can't actually do anything about it. When we bring it in terms of context to the whole series, Rain Wild's, that's the last two books of the four. I mean, we've spoken quite a lot about the children and the characters, and a lot of that is sort of set up and established in the two dragon books. And I don't know if you know, Danielle, I know I told Chas, these were written as a duology. So the first two books was one book when it was written, and the last two books was one book. So the dragon books.
About that, but I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yeah. So that first half, when they are on their way to Kalsingra, and then the second half when they reach Kalsingra and the story that happens there. And the story in Kalsingra is what really brings you into the greater story as a whole.
Oh, I know.
There is a moment in Kalsingra when Elise goes absolutely spare at the boys for setting a fire in the top of the tower. And all of them go, it wasn't me. As readers, we get the moment of, oh, it was Verity and Fitz. Just thinking about it's just made my hair stand on end.
Did I miss this? Is this a nugget I don't know about? Wait.
Where Elise goes exploring and finds the remnants of a fire at the top of the Tower of Documents.
Okay.
And everybody denies having set it. It's the tower that Fitz went to in Assassin's Quest when he went down into this magical city. That's where he was.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I got to go back and reread now.
I was going to say, did either of you at that point go, I have to reread that chapter in Assassin's Quest? Yeah.
Well, there's so many ties in that section back to Assassin's Quest, like the whole quest for the silver, and like finding the way to trigger the fountain so that it releases the silver and everything like that. But then you start making connections. It's like, that's the silver that Verity was using, and like, oh.
Yeah, and the city that was cleaved in two that Fitz discovered. So that there's this sense that the connections have all just been there waiting to be made. We get the skilling as you touch the black stone with the silver in it, which is the stone that Verity quarried into his dragon. So we're starting to see the bigger picture of the whole, and okay, this is why we're getting an Elderlings story being told before we've even seen Elderlings or dragons, because all of those elements from that first trilogy are related to this city of the Elderlings. They are related to the story that's been going on in the background. What's the word I'm looking for? The sort of dream nature of some of the situations that the non-dragon keepers find themselves in. Elise has a couple where she realizes that this isn't real. I'm seeing things that aren't here. And how bewildering she finds that, which we get is similar to Fitz on the Skill Road, where, okay, so that on some level, Elise has a touch of the skill because she's susceptible to it.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of it was almost like not even dreams. It was almost like a movie projector, like an old movie projector triggered by the silver that was inlaid in the stones. And once you turn that on, it's like turning on the bulb, and you're seeing all these like pictures of decades and centuries gone by in Elderling. Yeah, you're in it. Yeah. It's almost like a holographic experience, like the holodeck on Star Trek or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that seeing it as part of Kalsingra, as part of what used to be a functioning city, really helps explain some of the weirder magic-y things that happened in Fitz's earlier stories, where at one point he's at an inn during Fool's Errand, and he ends up falling out of a window, just completely out of it, as he realizes, I have to get out of this building because the building is making me be insane, because he's touching this black stone and it's giving him an existence that isn't there. It's a bit strange, but the more that these young people interact with the city, the more easily it starts to come to them, and their understanding sort of becomes innate. It's like the stone is almost teaching them how to use the stone.
Yeah, especially Rapskull. He undergoes just a complete, like a possession almost, as a result of using the stones too much, which Lefton warned him about.
But again, they were told as children when they had to deal with the mining expeditions, when they were unearthing the Elderlings things. You can get lost in these memories. Again, Malta with Tintaglia, you can drown in the memories. Rapskull, and I do want your opinions on this because I've had some long discussions and I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about it. Was he overtaken by the characters in the stone, or did he choose to become this other being? Because I fall on the side of he chose it.
Rapskull was a willing vessel.
Oh yeah. I mean, he already knew how some people viewed him. He knew how like, you know, he knew how so many people viewed him as simple. And then he gets to be this other person who's powerful and self-assured and confident. Hell yeah, why not?
Yeah. Because that is how I feel. It's that he went into it eyes open and chose it rather than been taken advantage of. Because I've heard both sides. And some of the arguments for the other are quite powerful. And this is clearly a very charismatic, very forceful personality who has imbued himself into the stone knowing eventually somebody will return and I can, in one way or another, be again. So it's an odd, very interesting little story.
Yeah, I didn't really think of those characters, and I don't know what about you, Danielle, but I personally didn't view those characters as souls that could come back in that sense. I literally viewed them as memories of, you know, mere shadows of the people that used to exist. I didn't really think of it in terms of something that could necessarily possess its user, even though it did with Rap School, but and I never viewed them as entities that could do that. How about you, Danielle? What was your thought on that?
I think it can be more than one thing, and I think that, you know, Rap Skull could be this guy, but like just in another life, you know, like I don't know, and I think that Rap Skull, the way he is, like his being and his openness and his just everything that made him him. It was almost like his, you know, destiny or like his calling, or I don't know how else to say it, but I just feel like it doesn't surprise me that he was kind of like a conduit for these memories and for this warrior and for, you know, all the things.
I
You can hear that whistling. That's the wild bird. That's just
I wondered about that. Yeah.
So talk among yourselves for a moment. I need to go and give the bird some apple, or he will scratch my windows.
Okay. Go right ahead, Terry.
So
although the more I think about it, Danielle, I think it is kind of almost like a reincarnation thing too. Maybe you know, maybe I know he kind of felt like it was like he said some things that indicated, oh, you know, this is who I was in a former life or something like that. Maybe.
And I just had a thought too. Like, how is this different from what the dragons are doing? You know, and how the dragons, you know, consume each other, pass their memories down. You know, they're all there, you know, simultaneously at once at any given time. They're all there. They're all present.
That's a really good comparison. I didn't even.
Terry just missed it.
Go, say it again, Danielle.
Wait, I don't know if I can.
She had a moment of brilliance.
Well, we were talking about how it's kind of similar to a reincarnation, and Danielle was comparing it to the way that the dragons are consuming people's thoughts and like through eating other dragons and things like that. She compared it to that. I didn't even think about that connection.
I do.
I'm not worthy.
Well, the reason I sort of was curious to your thoughts about it, and I think it comes down to whether you think whatever's in the stone has agency, as to whether it's a possession or an acceptance of memory. I think of the rooster crown, and that the fool had entities arguing over who got to be in the body.
Mm-hmm. True.
And that's the sort of sense I took into Rain Wilds with me, that there's enough sentience, whether it's what you would call a full being, but there's enough sentience to want agency.
Right.
So
you almost like make an agreement when you come into contact with it, because if you're touching it, you're agreeing to whatever it's gonna give you.
Because I'm open to this experience.
There was at one point in Tawny Man where Fitz went through the stone and he got stuck in there for a period of time, and this sentient being said to him, you need to go back now or you will be stuck here.
Yeah, or you'll be lost.
You'll be lost, you'll become, so there was some sentient entity talking to Fitz when he was in that mid realm, whatever it was, between the stones. So yeah, I guess there is definitely some sentience there.
Yeah, and Rhett here is quite right. She is very philosophical, particularly around memory, and I think that the themes around memory are very, very strong. In that memory is your personhood. Without your memory, who are you? You're nobody without your memory. So this, who has the power over your memories? Where are your memories held? Is a very strong factor in the story. But then to have them shared among people, where you've got Tarman quite willing to help Elise and Leftrin share memories and share experiences. And you see it enrich their relationship, where they can understand each other more profoundly, which is kind of beautiful. But at what point is that too much? And it's a wonderful sort of, we don't know. Where do you set the boundaries on yourself and your memories if you have this ability to do it? It's marvelous. And we also see that the opposite, where Tamara refuses to share hers with Sintara, and Sintara takes that very personally. She wants full access to those memories, and Tamara's not given it. I find that kind of charming myself, but
she and Sintara definitely have a very interesting relationship. Yeah, especially there when there's at the beginning there was kind of this competition almost between Elise and Thymara, because they're kind of both vying for Sintara's attention, and Sintara's totally playing into it. She's like, well, look at all Elise does for me, and yeah.
And again, though, Thymara says, I'm not playing that game.
Right, exactly.
She's like, you want Elise? Fine, you have her. There's it's something I note in Malta a lot. There's a sense of self that's very strong, in that I don't necessarily have to be the best person, but I'm me, and you don't get to change that. And I admire that in both those characters. We haven't even mentioned Rain and Malta, who make a wonderful comeback in City of Dragons, even though it gets a bit tense and almost horrific in parts.
Yeah.
Particularly Malta, who, I'm sorry, badass, queen, literally while giving birth, dealing with a kidnapper.
Right.
Queen. But we learn a lot in that situation. We learn about these babies with the Elderling heritage and how desperately they need to have a dragon present to guide those changes.
I know, and it was so touch and go for a while there at the end, because
it was going to die.
Tara hadn't arrived yet, and
she was injured.
She was deeply injured.
Yeah, she was injured. Yeah, we weren't even sure if she was going to survive, and then you got this real sense if she didn't survive, that baby is not going to survive. And
this interwoven nature of life, being writ large, really, I thought that was really cleverly done. And the lengths that everybody went to try and make sure this baby survived. I mean, to the point where Tarman was like, I will do what I can. Without even a voice, Tarman was like, I will do what I can.
Yeah.
To keep this baby breathing. So there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a sort of thread between all of these characters that tells them we're all connected. All of us have to survive this. If we're going to survive, we have to do it together.
Yes.
And Tintaglia realizes this almost too late when she realizes that for all that Icefire is this marvelous male dragon, he's also from the past. He hasn't had to deal with anything that she's had to deal with. He hasn't had to interact with humanity. He's almost a completely other species to her.
Yeah.
And she realizes my people, the people who actually understand me, are not my kind.
Mm-hmm.
She comes to that realization almost too late. So, which I thought was kind of interesting, because we learn again more about the silver, what it can do, what it can't do. I don't know that actually we found anything it can't do. No. Lots of things it can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rapskull is, again, one of the earliest ones to realise, to make those connections. Is it because he's been so open to the experiences in the stone?
Yeah.
Is it his realisation or this other being going,
Yeah.
oh, don't worry about it. We can fix that.
Right.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think at some point he's pretty much completely taken over, because even the other kids mention it. Well, kids, the other new elderlings mention it. You know, that especially Thymara, you are not the person I knew. You are not yourself anymore.
Yeah, you've
So
changed.
I think at some point all of those memories have completely taken him over. I got that impression. Yeah.
And this is where I wonder how much of that was intentional on Rapskull's part, of not wanting to be this person deemed to be a fool, to just be a waste of space, and how much of that did he choose to give away? Because I think he did. But that's just me, and these books are so open to opinion. It's kind of wonderful. But we had some interesting insights, though, into the elderlings, and this is what happens to humans when they spend too much time around dragons. We don't talk about the other way around. Did either of you catch that?
About the dragons taking on human characteristics and qualities. Yeah.
And what that ends up being?
What that ends
Oh, you did that felt.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what did I miss now? I mean, other than like ways of thinking and things like that,
No, they hatched formed at the island of their hatching, which is where She Who Remembers was held captive by the ones that were deformed.
Oh, are you talking about Tintaglia's new eggs? New.
Back in Live Ships, the white serpent who was held trapped on the island.
I remember that.
Were the others.
Yes.
On Others Island.
Mm-hmm.
Others are the deformed dragons who have spent too much time around people.
I thought they were like completely like just different, like a different race altogether, but they're
dragon babies born with human qualities.
Abominations.
They're what?
Abominations.
Abominations. Little dragon baby abominations.
Dragons who can't be dragons.
Unless they're guided by humans?
because they just spent too much time with humans. So we get the hatred of humans and we get the resentment of dragons. So we get that complicity in trapping them and not allowing their species to continue. It's a really deep thread. It's one that's just sitting there. It's just sitting there.
So
And you're like, hang
let
on.
me make sure I'm understanding right. So at the beginning of Live Ships, with the creatures on Others Island that gave Kenneth his medallion or whatever, his wizard wood medallion.
Oh, no, he bought that. He bought that off the black market.
Yeah, he bought it, but he bought it from
for his fortune.
Yeah. So the ones that sold it to him are deformed dragons.
Yeah.
I never made that. My gosh, Derry.
It's
Okay.
a very deep thread, and it's one, like I said, she doesn't hide anything. It's all there.
I did
But
not.
she can distract you so very cleverly that it can be really easy to miss stuff. And when I don't know if people are going to reread, I kind of don't mind bringing it up at this point, because I'm like, well, the clues are there at this point. So if it's something that you missed, I'm spoiling it because
There are very few series that I would reread, but this is definitely one of them. A Song of Ice and Fire is another one, but anyway.
for the same reasons, there are depths here. There is more happening than you realize on your first read.
Danielle, did you pick up any of that?
My head might actually explode. I'm glad we're recording this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember the first time I made that connection, just going, because it hasn't been addressed. There's nothing yet to say that this generation of dragons isn't going to therefore hatch more of these things. What are we going to do about that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the remedy to a human baby being born with dragon characteristics is that they need a dragon to help guide those changes into an elderling, which is, human and dragon. So then could the same thing happen with the others, where like it's a dragon baby born with human characteristics and it just needs a human to help guide its changes so that it can be also an elderling?
Yeah, I was going to say, does that mean that these misshapen dragons or whatever can be elderlings as well, or they're different types of elderlings? Oh my God.
There's a lot in this world that hasn't been hidden from anybody, and I just sort of left to be explored.
Where's my ball? Where's my ball?
I found that particular thread really fascinating because it sort of speaks still to how other is to other.
Yeah, right.
And at what point is this acceptance too much? Because clearly there still is, and we see that in our own world. There's still a point at which not viable, not possible, not welcome, because it's just too different.
Mm-hmm. But if they're at Kelsingra in this new society of elderlings, will they be accepted now because everybody's different anyway?
What possibilities happen if you bring one of these things from the island to Kelsingra and access to the silver? Because there's no silver on the beach.
Right. Yeah, there's no silver on the beach. The only thing that was on the beach was the feathers that Chip found. Oh, my head hurts.
So yes, there's that.
You okay there, Danielle?
Do we get answers to these questions in the last 3 books? Oh, can't really say.
Aaron, come on. No, I'm kidding.
Can't say one way or the other.
I guess we'll find out, Danielle, because there is keeping mum on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the joys for me in seeing what things get caught and what things don't with people who are on their first read, because there is so much there. And often I'll assume somebody's made a connection and they haven't. I will feel guilty until the day I die for spoiling the fact that the fall was Amber in Live Ships, because at the end of Live Ships, I assume everybody makes that connection. Evie, my dearest darling friend Evie, reached the end of Live Ships, and I went, and how awesome is it that Amber was the fall? And she went, what?
Yeah, my parents did the same thing. I was the one to tell them.
Well, you were the one to tell me too, Danielle. Because
actually, I was the one to tell you too.
I've stopped saying anything about it now until I know people have got past Lord and Fool.
And then I went back and I read the section, and I'm like, how in the world did I miss that the Fool is Amber? I'm like, oh my God. And it totally makes sense when you reread it. It's like,
when you do reread it, is you're like, seriously, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
That is writ large.
Because it's there plain as day that the face carved into the ship.
I mean, that was one of the last clues, was the face being carved into Paragon. That was the one that went, oh yes, yeah, that's definitely.
Yep.
And then at the very end, when we find the crown in Igot's treasure hoard, I was like, totally the Fall. So the fact for anybody to get to that point and not know made me go, oh, things aren't as obvious as I think they are, because over the next few reads, I found so much I'd missed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see
this last comment.
Notice.
That was what sealed it for me. Yeah.
I didn't even pick that up until, again, Danielle pointed it out to me, that last comment that Rep 86 made didn't even register, because it's interesting to see how black and white our society has raised us to think in terms of gender and gender expression. Mm-hmm. And then to see that played with in this story, it's just amazing. Like even in Assassin's Quest, the whole little rhyme that the Fool sang to Fitz when he was like, jangle? Does it jingle or jangle? Yeah, exactly. And just the whole thing of gender doesn't matter. It's the person that you want to focus on. But we were raised so black and white on the issue of gender and gender expression that. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily the reason I didn't pick up on it, but it could be one of the reasons.
I definitely think that that's being played into.
Yeah. Wow.
Because it's one of those, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a playing to expectation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show you what you expect to see. It's up to you to look further. Mm-hmm. The clues are there.
Yeah, she's brilliant on that.
She really, really is. And there are, all throughout all of the books, we get this set of tacit understandings, these rules that everybody lives by.
Yes.
And the Fall upsets so many of them by going,
oh, yeah.
Rule.
Yeah. The Fool's
you
like,
just accept it.
I love that beautiful moment in Fitz in the Tawny Man trilogy when Fitz is like, I have no boundaries on what you want our relationship to be, Fitz.
Yeah.
Well, the only boundaries are the ones that you're putting on our relationship.
And I honor them.
What's that?
And I honor them.
Yes, and I honor them. Yes, exactly. Yes.
I didn't put boundaries on it, but I accept that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priceless. Yeah.
And also the hardship of that discussion between them being, but we both already knew that. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to say it out loud, and now we have to remember those words.
Yeah. That was a moment.
And we get some similar kind of conversations happen in Rain Wilds when really hard understandings have been reached and everybody understands they've been reached. But there's always that one person who's like, so this is now the case. Everyone's sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
really?
Right. Yeah, we thought this was a given, but okay.
Yeah, do we really have to spell this out?
Yeah.
The understandings that our now new elderlings are reaching in the city, where they're beginning to specialize almost, and that Taimara is able to figure out how the silver works, and we get Tats finding out how some of the engineering of the buildings work. It's really wonderful how it's all very organic. They've all just leaned into the things that resonate with them, because Tats was always the really handy kind of guy, could figure out how to make stuff work. And yeah, it's what? That's Galen.
Oh yeah, Galen. Yeah.
Where was I going with that? Don't remember. It derailed me. Oh, the buildings that were dragon welcoming.
Oh yeah, somebody mentioned that earlier in the chat. That was
and we got a hint of it on their way to the city, where they found a sunken building that was warm.
Yeah, found
was warm.
The warming platform. Yeah,
and how quickly it helped heal them.
Yeah,
and help them grow too. Yeah, they changed drastically from just that one exposure.
Yeah. So once they've been in Kelsingra for even that short amount of time, the speed in their growth and their development is given answer. Like, okay, that's actually been written in very cleverly, that the warmth and the water, and okay, this is perfectly reasonable now. We've built that in. Because Ratscal found it first.
Mm-hmm.
So his dragon, his relationship with Hebe is the most advanced. That's the connection that's the most...
Hebe's amazing.
Yes.
I love Hebe so much.
So it's... yes, right. Proof that dragons are big cats just looking for somewhere warm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually had a pet cat who would get so close to the fireplace, she would burn her nose.
Oh, no.
Twice she would just get so close, and she'd... Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But that again, it speaks to the othering. Sometimes if someone isn't where they need to be to thrive, you can't expect them to thrive.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you don't know if they can thrive, but if there's a chance, putting them in the right set of circumstances could let them blossom.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that resonates with me. I find that really powerful.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We just don't know what this situation, what this condition, what this flaw of building, what it needs to heal, to grow, to be all it can be.
Yeah.
We did see the dragons, come into their own.
Mm-hmm.
And then by extension, they're keepers. But we got a lot of societal kind of structure out of the history of Kelsingra, in that we had these two communities on either side of the river, where they spent that winter in the ruins on one bank, and Kelsingra on the other. And these ruins belonging to the people who were part of the Elderling culture, but didn't live in the city because it was too other. To sort of keep themselves dream-free, to keep themselves out of the holograms, as it were. And how these two separate societies of people lived as one culture. And I thought that was fascinating, that they did it, and clearly quite healthily.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys take from that? Was it something you even had time to think about as you were reading it, or were you just, oh my God, Hester's coming?
I don't feel like I thought on it too much.
Yeah, I don't know that I thought on it too much either, except for, I mean, there's definitely a point there where you think to yourself, if only we could do that in real life. You'll learn to live together despite our differences. I mean, there's a lot there, but I don't think I thought too heavily on it. But yeah, there's definitely a sense of the society that they're forming is the ideal society, if they can hold to those ideals, and only time will tell as time goes on and they grow and change, and other books have to be written for that. But it seems like the ideal society. I would want to live in a society like they are trying to form.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I would as well. Without the hardship.
But yeah, without the hardship. I would not make a good farmer. I would not make a good. Yeah,
I'm not one.
People talk about, oh, how cool would it be to go back to the 1300s and things like that. I'm like, no, it's cool to learn about and read about, but I would not survive.
I don't want to share my living space with sheep and deal with fleas. Thank you, right. But no, that's not ideal. I did find it really fascinating, the freedom, that the maturity, the coming of age that we saw in the dragons, where when we began the series, they were very much dependent on what the humans could do for them.
Yeah.
And they were so limited by it. And by the end of it, they're literally just, oh, well, I'm going to go and do this. Whether they had a right it or not, they just, what are you going to do about it? I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I really loved that. This, they are now, I don't know what mature. They are mature beings who don't need oversight.
Yeah. And by virtue of that, now they're the keepers are now having to decide, okay, now that they don't need us anymore, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
How do we... Empty nest syndrome.
Yeah, empty nest. Yeah, absolutely.
And very similarly, and I have an unknown span of years now. What do I do with that time? And we get that sense of, without that limitation of needing to ensure my children's survival, of needing to make sure these basic necessities of life are met, I have this luxury, because it is a luxury, of time to learn, to explore, to invent, to create wonders, which is what elderlings did.
Mm-hmm.
And how that removes them in itself from other people.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of self-other themselves at that point, because they're doing things other people don't have the ability to do. I just find it really fascinating that the themes within themes that just, so good. So, I mean, we've been going for a little while. We're at an hour and a half, which is, we're getting on there. So I do have a question, is that knowing that we're going to come back to Fitz in the final trilogy, what are some questions you're hoping get answered? What are some of the threads you're really hoping we get closure on? What are you hoping for? What are you hoping for in this trilogy?
Oh, there's definitely some things that I'm wondering if we're going to get any answers to, like, I'm hoping that we'll find out how Fitz is personally healing from the loss of Burrick, because that goes back to his early childhood. So that seems like a small thing to wonder about, but I do wonder about how he deals with that grief, and a lot of grief, really. I mean, he has the grief of being separated from the Fool at the end of the trilogy. Burke is now dead. Yes, he has his now reunited with Molly after all these years, and reunited with his daughter and everything, and how he's affected by all that. So a lot of it is like relationship stuff that I'm wondering how Fitz is dealing with all that. And it's obviously called Fitz and the Fool for a reason. So I'm wondering now how the Fool is going to come back into Fitz's life and what that's going to look like. I even kind of wonder. I mean, he's married to Molly, but there's a part of me that kind of wonders, is there going to be some kind of deepening of the relationship between him and the Fool if Fitz can let go of some of his preconceived notions of what a relationship is supposed to look like? I kind of wonder about that too, because I mean, for the Fool, obviously, he has no guardrails up about any of that, but Fitz still does or did. I'm curious to see where that will go. I'm sorry, Danielle. You take it from here. I'm
just listening. I'm just listening.
All of these wheels are turning, and I'm just letting the time get away from you. So,
I don't mind. I of course want to know what the Fool has got up to. I feel like the Fool was not in a good way whenever we last saw them, and yeah, I think wasn't there someone who had like previously been like a prophet?
The black.
Yeah. And so did they get to hang out? Did they have a journey together? I feel like maybe they did. I would like to know how that went.
Going to go on the journey to where the Fool came from. That was.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, yeah, Fool origins. I want to know all the things. And then, I want to know how the little Fitzes are getting on, Nettle and Dutiful. I want to know if we still, maybe get some little nuggets of wisdom from Night Eyes here and there.
There's a part of Night Eyes that is still communicating with Fitz.
Yeah. Or has Fitz finally moved on and taken on a new wit friend? I don't know. Yeah, it's just a million things. Million things I would want to know.
my Realm of the Elderlings coloring book that somebody gave me spoiled one thing. I'm not going to say, but
you better not.
No, I won't. But yeah. So I know something, and it's not related to Fitz. So anyway.
I find it funny that we're literally just spent an hour and a half talking about the Rain Wilds, and neither one of you have any inclusion of all of that information you just got and what you think is going to happen next.
Oh my. January, Danielle, really? Are we going to wait that long? No, I'm kidding. I think we should, but I'm like.
Just in terms of there was a lot of lore. You got a lot of history.
I know at the end of Fitz and the Fool, he was really struggling with his place as not just being, no longer being the prophet, but now just a prophet of many that have come in the past. And I think the Fool was really struggling to find his place in the world now that
he wasn't supposed to survive.
Yeah, what is his purpose and everything. And so I'm assuming that when he is eventually reunited with Fitz, he's gotten some of that purpose back. I'm hoping. And I'm hoping that we, like Danielle said, find out more about his origins. Because I had assumed that at the very least, I had assumed that the Fool is part Elderling, probably not full Elderling, but I had assumed that he is. There's some of that there, of a sense of where he's got bloodlines there that had been Elderlings prior. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I just went.
What's that?
That idea, didn't it?
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
Mary, how many times have you read through the series? The
first 9 is over 20 times. The rest of them were being published as I was rereading. So the last one, I think, is I'm only on like 5 or 6. I just heard myself say only. That's so random. But yeah.
20 times for the first 9, and then at least 5 or 6 for the entirety. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I'm still finding things. Seriously, the last reread is taking me so long because the slightest sentence sends me into just complete fits of tears. Because the slightest sentence makes me go, oh my God, that's related to this, which is something to do with that, which is connected to this. And that's really sad. And it might be talking about how I ate a sausage roll. It's ridiculous. So I might have found the upper limit of how many times you can read something without it breaking your brain. Because, seriously, I had to go and nap the last time. I was like, I cried myself into exhaustion. It was not cool. Over a really random sentence. It was very strange. But I do still find new things.
Yeah. I love this comment here. It's the Song of Ice and Fire problem, but we have all the books. Or at least we have all the books right now. That's true.
There are more coming. I am so ridiculously excited. There just are not words to put around the feeling I have of anticipation for it. They're just really not. But yes, it is that feeling of just wanting more, of having this wealth of world.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So are you looking at maybe rereading at some point, Danielle?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely will. Yeah.
That's exciting. And I know I'm just as excited that you're doing this now. The reread is like reading a whole new series.
Yeah.
Because context. Things that made no sense the first time around that you're like, oh, I think I understand what happened. Once you've read the whole series, you're like, you read that sentence now and you're like, oh my God.
Like that was there right in front of my face the entire time.
How did I not notice?
Yeah.
It really is chilling, some of the things when you read it the second time through, because again, Hob isn't hiding anything.
Yeah.
It's all there on page, and everything she's written later in the series comes back to the text. She doesn't create anything out of nowhere. Everything comes back to things she's already established, which is kind of incredible.
I think the subtlety of it, and like you said, that everything is right there for you to either understand or not.
Yeah.
I feel like that just takes so much of the pressure off.
Oh,
and that's why these are comforting. Like, that's why these books are comforting to me.
Yeah. Because she's not hiding anything, and there are no unexpected twists. If things happen that you didn't see coming, you just didn't see them coming. It wasn't a trick. The author hasn't tried to catch you unaware.
Yeah.
Which I love. Because for a lot of the books, and you will see it on a reread, you're just like Fitz. You're encountering this for the first time. So you're just as confused. You put as little meaning into things as Fitz does until you learn more later, as Fitz does, and suddenly looks back and goes, oh, okay, that looks very different now.
Yeah.
Now that I have context.
Yeah.
It's such a great thing to read.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
do you have any final thoughts to close on? Because we have been going for some time. Anything?
I'm just thankful. I'm so thankful to know someone besides Chas who is just as crazy about Hob as I am, and yeah, it's a really good feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because they are simply remarkable characters, and they do live rent free in my heart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really struggle now because, like, for the longest time, I said A Song of Ice and Fire is my favorite book series of all time. This is easily going to be very close, like a struggle between the two of those, between that and this one. But I mean, the only wild card is going to be Empire of the Vampire Diary. That's going to be the wild card. I'm
Yeah, but they're all doing very different things.
almost done with the final book. Yeah, this is easily a series that I will remember fondly and want to reread over and over again. Yeah, absolutely.
I also put A Song of Ice and Fire
because I am 50 years old after all, but I don't know if I'll make it to 20 more times before I die, but you never know.
I have a head start on you. It's fine.
Yeah. I
most people aren't as insane.
Be touched by a dragon so I can live a couple hundred more years, and
we can hope. There's still parts of the world unexplored, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Darnell, Empire of the Vampire does rule.
It does.
Chas and I are planning a discussion. Don't panic.
Oh yes, there will be a discussion happening with that.
But yeah, so I'm going to wind up. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your evening with me.
Thank you.
I have had a blast. And obviously, I'm invested in your journey as you continue. So we shall hopefully see you back as you work through Fits into Fall.
Yeah, you'll definitely be hearing from us.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We have our group chat now.
We do have a group chat. That's quite right. And be aware, I will say read and find out more often than not. Because I learned my lesson telling somebody that Amber was the fool to keep my mouth shut. So there's that. So with all of that said, I'm going to love you and leave you. So bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for chatting with us.